Well, looks like that's something that they're very highly valuing.
Yeah.
In fact, let's go ahead and move into picks and banter between these two team grams.
Let's
We'll have
go.
those up on the screen for Game 2. We saw Rival start to ban away Xalia's sustain-y gods that he likes to play, so I'm curious to see if Dignitas will make that same adjustment, or if they think that they can just beat it outright.
Potentially, depends what they do with the first pick, because first pick last time they went with the Toth, and I'm not saying Toth's a bad first pick. It just feels like there's a lot of other things on the table that you could look to take. Specifically, I guess Circuit is the one I'm talking about more than anything.
Right.
Because Circuit, in the hands of QvoFred, has been an absolute gorgeous thing to watch throughout the season. Why not take it for yourself? I know it may have some tricky matchups, but then again, so does Toth.
Yeah, Soft is not going to be an insta-win for you, and there it is. Dignitas banned the Aphrodite in the first ban phase, forced Xaliea to play something different and have the option to select that Circuit for themselves if they wanted. And Graham, I would be remiss if I don't mention Dignitas need this game. They cannot afford to lose here. This is Game 2.
Well, they need 2 games.
Yes.
So they got to win this one and then go again.
Well, they got to win this one to get to Game 3, but yeah.
But that's what I wanted. That was the main thing I was asking. I'm like, are they going to go with the Toth again? I hope not. I really hope they go with the Circuit.
Yeah, I like this way better.
Start things off aggressive. And talking about aggression, Obey going to do the same thing here. That's probably for CaptainTwig in the jungle again. We saw it earlier today. It looked great.
We did. Achilles does have some flex picks. Certainly, iRaffer could pilot it. He's been playing some unique selections here today. Has both iRaffer and Xaliea, so it's hard to tell exactly where those are going to go, but Discordia almost certainly going to be in the mid four.
Yeah, and Discordia is actually, even though Prime does have a good Discordia, it's also a takeaway from Zyrhoes again in the mid lane. Zyrhoes likes to run the likes of the Toth, which is probably going to end up going back to here as I hear the sound. Yeah, I expect him to go back there because he's kind of stuck to like 3 or 4 gods for the most part, Zyrhoes. He likes to stick to 3 or 4 and just flip them in and out as needed because not everyone's going to get banned away.
You also got the Silback along with it, who's quietly become one of the strongest gods in the game right now, or certainly one of the most prioritized gods right now. Silback being very highly valued, and Artemis going to come in for Obey. I mean, so far, I'm liking both these drafts.
Yeah, but we saw Obey earlier today as well take on Rival with a very similar composition to this. So Dignitas have to be wary of what's going to go down in this set. They're going to have to deal with this Artemis, which that ball makes a lot of work happen. But again, Dig did it themselves earlier today themselves, so they both know how Artemis works.
I like these bans. Again, trying to hurt Arkkyl a little bit if they can. Hachiman and On Her taken off the board since they already have the Artemis for themselves. And look at that, doing those same bans.
So, what's that, Sylvanas? Thinking of other healers that could be impactful in
They
some
banned
way.
Raw already, so I mean, that's not even there, yeah.
The Raven, so that's could be Achilles in the solo lane now, although Obey have drafted Achilles in the support role, and that's the best support Achilles I've seen come from Obey in iRaffer. So we'll see a bit of an aggression there. Sobek still available for solo or in the duo lane here. More than likely we'll see it swing towards variety, but we saw Trix play it earlier on.
Yep, looks like with that Fafnir selection, that Sobek almost certainly is going to be going over to the solo lane. Fafnir, very strong right now with that Dragonic Corruption.
He has an interesting matchup against Artemis because Artemis can really lock him down in place when he transforms, to trap underneath him, and then he has a terrible time. But one thing that he does do is the disarm. Disarm's going to be very useful against this comp. Achilles, Raven, Artemis, very auto-attack focused. Weaving in those auto-attacks with the ability-based warriors, but not only that, Artemis is crit. She can't crit if she can't attack.
That could disrupt it certainly very well. Artio is going to be the last selection for Obey, so a relatively normal comp, I guess, or a meta comp, I guess you could say, that Obey has drafted for themselves here. But Tom, I mean, not Tom, but Hindu Man. I mean, they got to win this game. Can Dignitas force the game 3 or have Obey shut them out here?
I don't know. I think they can do it if they can get off to a good start. It depends the pace that the Raven and the Achilles set from Obey. If they get off to a good start, into the transition to late game, Discordia and Artemis are very, very dangerous. And then you've got RTO to join that fray. I'm pretty sure it's RTO in the solo lane. I'm going to go Dig here, though, because I don't know if it's going to work out as well as they hope against the Circuit.
We'll keep our eyes on the Robin and the Achilles there. Let's go ahead and get it over to Tully and Tom for the cast.
Interesting draft here coming out from Obey Alliance. Of course, Team Dignitas need to topple them not just one game, but the next 2. Both this and, should they win, the 3rd game need to go in Dignitas' favor. Otherwise, they're staying home.
They're really focusing out Xaliea, as I predicted, honestly, here, the same exact way their rival did. And they're going towards their strengths with the Circuit jungle for Qvo.
Let us know if Dignitas are going to be able to stretch us out to game 3, or if you think that Obey Alliance are going to keep them where they lie. Mixer chat, we're depending on you to figure that one out. Otherwise, we're just going to have to watch the game. So, in fact, let's watch the game. That's what
Go
I'm
watch the game,
excited
Tom.
for.
I'm excited.
When we've got days like this, man, we're at the end of the week. I just get so antsy, right? I mean, today, really important. Tomorrow as well. We travel over to North America. We're going to start over there at 5 p.m. our time, so Eastern time. Translate that as you will, because there's a lot of LAN implications there for NA as well. I mean, this one game, I mean, it's funny, because, well, this one game, if Dig wins, we go to game 3, and then it's literally who wins a single game of Smite. Right?
To see if Dignitas or Energy qualified to the LAN here for Masters.
This has to be a terrible time for Energy. Just sitting there holding their breath. Hoping Obey wins. Well, right now, iRaffer is going to be playing that Achilles support, as Hindu had predicted. Xaliea on the audio. So we'll have the Achilles support one more time. iRaffer was... A lot of people tried it, and iRaffer was really the only one that made it work.
He just plays aggressive, and that goes for Achilles' style, especially in a world where there's a lot of late-game hunters. If you get that little bit of a push into the mid-game here, I think Ataraxia is going to have a very pleasant time. Wow.
50-50.
No way.
Obey Alliance played really strong in game number 1.
What was the results last game, though?
It was about 60. It was like 2/3 to 1/3.
Yeah.
And after that game number 1, I mean, Obey Alliance played dominant, won in dominant fashion.
Is that the first time we saw a 50% poll result?
We've seen a couple. We've definitely seen a couple, but I think that one really close here. Dignitas, they've got to be careful here. They've got to be a little bit scared, for sure.
No, Trixtank's not really worried here because he knows that Obey Alliance needs to clear out the wave if they want to invade something else, and that's why, on the flip side, it's going to be Dignitas pairing up their Hunter Arkkyl alongside Zyrhoes to look for the red buff invade. No, they're just going for left mids instead.
Yep, just looking for a little bit of extra farm. Trixtank, on the other hand, going to be followed into the jungle by the wave. Nothing really looking for there, though, as the Doa lane from Obey Alliance able to take that no problem.
I'm surprised that teams haven't adapted to the strategy to just defend their own purple. As a 3-man unit, you know they're going to go to their purple.
Yeah.
Why not defend it as 3?
Yeah, this send your hunter to the lane has been really popular lately.
Because, like, you send the hunter so that way you can actually allow your mid laner to out-clear the opposition faster. So, by theory, you don't have to worry about getting back to that mid lane in time for the next wave. You'll get there in time.
Sure.
As long as you defend that purple buff, you might even find a kill, which might not necessarily put Zyrhoes ahead, but it certainly could put Arkkyl ahead if Ataraxia dies.
Well, it might be something to keep an eye on. Don't forget that, you know, with LAN coming, we've seen players and teams keep working on not totally efficient strategies because they want to keep the real ones, quote unquote, in the pocket.
That's true. They could be kind of still toying with some ideas here. I did see an interesting strategy in the SGS, actually. I think it was the Brazilian league where in Brazil, they was solo laner and jungler starting at the blue or speed buff, whereas the mid laner went to the mid lane instead, trying to get some farm for himself, and then by a weird little proxy was able to not get his own blue buff though afterwards.
Yeah, it was an interesting start, and I like to see the teams innovating there. CaptainTwig on the jungle Robin going to take some damage from QvoFred, and I love the steadfastness. Just doesn't really panic, doesn't really do anything. Of course, there's no buttons for him to press, doesn't have beads or an ult, so I guess even if he panicked, we wouldn't be able to tell. But CaptainTwig able to stay stoic right there. No kills just yet.
Playing the Robin jungle here, it's the best way to honestly survive against an aggressive Circuit. And just like the set against Rival, where Xaliea was focused out so heavily in the band, that leaves more junglers now available for CaptainTwig, or more mid laners there for PrettyPriMe.
I mean, when you get Hell, Chang'e, and Aphrodite banned out,
it's a very niche selection. It's not like every mid laner selection at all.
Oh, not
in fact,
at all.
that's a solo laner here for Obey.
It's such a luxury when you're able to do that. I look at Luminosity Gaming over there in North America as well. Jungler Weekend, really popular, and his Arachne is banned out virtually every set, and that's of such a benefit.
And it's not because Arachne is busted or because like she will literally single-handedly carry the game. It's just some teams might not be used to playing against a specific god. So yeah, against LG, they're gonna ban away the Arachne. Against Obey, they'll ban away that trifecta of healers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easier to sort of excuse it when it's an individual pick. When it's just Weekend's Arachne, it's like, look, We practice against all the other teams that play other stuff. This is the one team that plays Arachne. We can ban it. We can move on. When it's 3 selections like that, I mean, that's where it really starts to hurt your pick ban phase. And Obey Alliance, they don't exactly go for all of the prime selections this time around, but if that's something that teams are going to have to do, ban out the heal strategy from Obey, very quickly you're going to see them take advantage of it and expect to see a lot of powerful, high-tier picks on their side of the map.
And they even banned away the Raw alongside that 3 healer combination there. So they're covering all their options there. I'm surprised they just don't let that go through, right? And then pick an Odin, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's the way you counteract that, right? But we've seen players, you know, play into bad scenarios before. So, could just be on the minds.
Pocket strat.
Yeah. Secret pocket strat?
Yeah.
I think that's the do.
It's like pocket sand, but better.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Pocket
is.
sand's a pocket strat, right? It's a strategy in the pocket.
I would love to see QvoFred's Circuit. I would love to see the Circuit with a pocket sand skin. The Cobra's Kiss. Pocket sand. That'd be good.
If there just wasn't any sort of legal battles we had to do, that would be the best skin ever. Damn it, Bobby. Who would be the father?
Oh man. You want a full team?
Let's do a cast.
You want a full team?
Yeah, who would be Bobby? Or who would be the father? Hank.
I mean, propane accessories. I'm thinking something that blows up. Vulcan.
Sure, fair
Right.
enough.
Bobby, kind of a bumbling idiot, but creative. Maybe a Jean Kui. No, you're not buying that one?
Yeah, I guess the card could be pocket sand. He throws the card out.
I'm already over this. I didn't even want to start it. I don't want to be here, Anatoly. Bring me someplace else.
Look where we are!
I don't know what you just.
We're still here.
He just snapped at me. I have no idea.
And we're still here.
Slow game so far from these teams.
It's all about perception, Tom. You can be wherever you want to be if you truly believe.
It's actually very true. It's like that episode of Cheers where Frasier teaches everybody not to be afraid of flying. Oh, did that one go over your head, Tolly? Whoops. 6 minutes in. And team's taking this one really slowly. To be expected, though. And QvoFred going to turn things up. No! Turns around as he walks over the enemy ward there. I was just about to say, kind of be expected here because of the hunter selections. Both the hunters and the mid laners are late game characters. I really don't expect anything to go on for another like 10 minutes or so.
Similar to the first game, Ataraxia. Not Panic Beadsing this game, but actually Panic Ultimate. No blink here from QvoFred that was activated or ambush or deathbane or anything like that. But not only was the Artemis Ultimate expended, but Raffer popped the sprint just to get out of danger.
Yep, just better safe than sorry. Is Obey Alliance. Good warding from them, though. Allows them to save their lives, despite the fact that they used some unnecessary items or abilities. Still able to get on out of there. Ataraxia a little bit ahead of the opposition, just by 11 stacks on the gloves. But pretty much a very tight game otherwise.
11 stack on the gloves, but not so much on the Hunter's blessing department. Dignitas able to strip away Obey's blue buff there. And against an Artio, that's kind of impactful.
Yeah.
Because as opposed to the Sobek, in order to get the MP5, you have to be leveling that 4th ability, but then you're dealing less damage on your 1st and 3rd as Artio. Whereas Sobek, you want to get your ultimate for so many different reasons. Not only is he giving you the mana regen, but huge burst damage, CC immunity, the slowing minefield.
Mana boots, CDR boots, if you will, on the Sobek. Sobek's a character that we either see usually the penetration boots because he does have a ton of damage, or tanky options or the Travelers. I feel like very rarely do we see the CDR boots, mainly because they're known for mana. He doesn't really need the mana. Is this just a fact that that's how much gold he had when he backed?
It could be where, yeah, it is a little bit cheaper there as well. I think it's a 50 gold difference
50
between
gold
the
cheaper.
two. So yeah, waiting like an additional 15 seconds or so, 15 to 17 is not ideal here when you might be losing more gold worth of the wave there, because that 50 gold is basically 2 melee minions.
Here's how much gold can you wait for? 50 gold's too much.
Depends how close to the wave is going to enter your tower. Depends on if your teleport is up or not. A lot of factors.
Just like the rest of Smite, everything. And that's kind of the point I was trying to get at, is that very rarely can you watch a pro do something and go, that's correct all the time. Rushing this Void Stone, for example, from Xaliea, really interesting strategy. I like this move because he's playing a character with a dash, has mobility. Trixtank with the wraparound, won't get in trouble. But Xaliea has a number of reasons that he can forego the boots for the Void Stone.
That's true. He wants to augment some of his additional damage just for the poke there. And that's for good measure. But keep in mind the Variety back to base already, finishing off a Void Stone for himself. With that teleport now, Dignitas able to continuously bully out Xaliea here, plucking him back in after stealing his blue.
Variety surrounded by a couple of Obey members. Obey respond because they knew that blue was going to be in trouble. Meanwhile, PrettyPriMe low himself finds the kill. First blood goes to Obey Alliance. Variety serves up and plucked, flipped, and down. Variety does his own deed. PrettyPriMe will get punished for the kill.
Trixtank is not done yet. He transforms into the dragon. A lot of follow-up from Zyrhoes as well. Final Judgment is available if he wants to use a beautiful stun onto iRaffer. He's just kind of using that ultimate to deter, but Obey is not listening. Twig going in.
There was a nice shot. Zyrhoes just couldn't find it any longer. It was 3 players alive. Oh, iRaffer!
Lazy back.
Almost accidentally kills Trixtank there. He's chasing down Zyrhoes and just haphazardly takes out Trixtank.
Trixtank not at the right place at the right time. He should have continued moving south there until iRaffer was stopping the chase there, but Zyrhoes kind of pulled the police right into him.
Yeah, that's rough. That one, a little bit Zyrhoes' fault, but you can never. You're lazy backing, right, Trixtank? Right? You know what I mean?
It's like you have 2 getaway cars, right? And you split off, and then all of a sudden you bring back to each other. It's like, hey, why did you do that?
Exactly. 3-day buffer. 3-day buffer.
Whatever that means.
Obey Alliance with 2 kills. Almost accidentally, like I said. Very tight game. The
11 minutes
difference?
in. Yeah, it was very similar to the last game where neither of these teams were really opting to go for objectives here. But Dignitas is going for objectives. They're stealing away the blue consistently from Xaliea.
And that was, you know, it's funny. I was just doing commentary with Hinduman. You were on the desk. It was a fun game.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How's the gambler doing?
He's doing all right. He's doing all right. Right now he's hanging out with John Finch on the desk. Variety here one more time, looking for the blue buff. And he's going to go ahead and dash into 1. 3 players again from Obey trying to defend this blue. Zyrhoes from the back line, trying to provide the damage. QvoFred gets hit by an ultimate. Oh, but here's the line. Zyrhoes has the ultimate available. Could find one if he has it. CaptainTwig.
I don't think he was in range, even if he wanted to fire that. He needed to dash in and then do it. You're giving me that look.
I think Zyrhoes had it. I think Zyrhoes had it.
He should have at least tried. He should have definitely tried. Because there was not going to be another team fight within the next 90 seconds.
You say that, but Arkkyl getting flanked right now.
But that's in the
down. Here comes help from the support. Arkkyl right to the sky. Realizes that his teammates are filtering in from the jungle. iRaffer's going to try and find it. Beats out the stun from the trap. Really important stuff there. And let me go ahead and amend our previous conversation. Trixtank actually wasn't even backing. He was de-transforming from the Fafnir. You actually can't control that or move. So,
that's true.
You know what? I guess it's on Zyrhoes for
very unfortunate. I'm not sure how the Fafnir de-transformation works in terms of cooldowns, whether or not it's available after you're done with the draconic form, but ideally your jump should be back up after you're done de-transforming, no?
Yeah, but you can't hit it. Like, I mean, that was so immediate. iRaffer saw him de-transform and went, right? Just easy to go grab him.
Unfortunate there. Got caught slipping. So a second kill for Obey Alliance, but they couldn't really get anything off of the kill. Like, all these kills are almost meaningless to the point where the teams aren't getting objectives after the fact. Neither one of them really caring to go for the Gold Fury quite yet. Makes sense as to why Obey isn't, because the Gold Fury is going to be contested by the Final Judgment.
They're all coming from the blue buff. The blue buff invade.
Yes.
And this is why I brought up Hinduman, because we were talking about why players don't leave the little minion up as much, right?
Okay.
You know, leaving that buff just dead. And that's because you can repeatedly get the invade. Once you get the timer, you can look for the repeated invade.
So the thing about invading buffs is some abilities have so much of a radius in AoE that you have to use it to deal damage, and you can't single out the big minion from the little ones.
You totally can. I think it's really just about looking for the repeated invades.
Well, there's also a very small window to steal the blue buff.
That's fair.
Right? So let's say Robin, for example, is trying to get in there. He has to punch it. If the punch pretty much one-shots the little ones anyway at a certain level. So sometimes you can't even control that factor.
That's certainly true. Teams
like Stormkata for Susanoo. You're not going to single out the big one.
Stormkata definitely a bigger deal right there. Obey Alliance here have been on the bad end of that invade a couple of times now. Xaliea dashing away here. Going to meet up with the rest of his crew.
Where's the pluck? Variety didn't even go for it.
Not looking for it. Doesn't want to toss the Artio into the big mess of team he's got there, I think.
Setting at level 13. The Artio doesn't even have Hide on Amin or the Thorns. That could have been a great deal of additional damage from Zyrhoes, especially if they full-on commit there with the last breath final judgment.
Team Dignitas fighting for their LAN contention. The dreams of the spring split are on the line. Obey took game number 1, and right now, well, nobody's in the lead. But Obey certainly could take game number 2 if things go their way. Ataraxia and iRaffer here in the duo lane look really strong. I love Ataraxia on the Artemis. iRaffer obviously has one of the 2 kills that his team has gotten so far. And this is an Obey Alliance team that definitely has to be feared.
Definitely agree with you there in terms of their mid-game team fights. But sometimes Ataraxia has done a little things differently, right? I was going to say awkwardly, but not necessarily awkward. It just fits to him and his style. So 2 moments I'm referring to is 1, when he used that ultimate defensively before even QvoFred got in there. And then number 2, when they forced Arkkyl in the sky, Ataraxia didn't even use the boar upon the land at all. Like, yeah, the beads was there, but maybe even the extra damage and 1 basic attack with a crit could have sealed the fate.
Sure. I like Ataraxia holding that one because he has the trap that should be a kill mostly, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't really think the ultimate, you know, but certainly something to chew on. We continue this game, both hunters featuring the Rage. Interesting as well because most of the time now, Rage used to be very different, but the idea that Rage is an item that builds up your critical strike chance, right? And then you have other options that boost that critical strike. The mentality is that you buy Rage before anything else. Well, here at Ataraxia on the Hunter with the built-in crit is the Rage. It used to be don't buy Rage on Artemis or at least buy it second. New Rage, different item, same character. What's your take?
So it's a math versus a feels thing in terms of Rage for Artemis versus Rage for the ROM. I think for a feels thing, you definitely don't need Rage for Ataraxia. Now, mathematically, I might be off by like decimal point or something like that. Barely any DPS increase as opposed to rushing the Deathbringer for cost efficiency. But as a ROM, I definitely agree with the Rage here.
Yeah.
It's very important to build it up here as early as possible. And honestly, between a Deathbringer and, like, let's say a Wind Demon with Artemis passive, that's plenty of critical strike to deal the late game damage.
But with the Rage, you're going to be able to feel the crit more consistent. And the consistent crit, I think, is what Ataraxia is after. He'll be able to build the Wind Demon or the Deathbringer, or we've seen a lot the Poison Star come out, actually.
It's important to keep yourself alive if no one else can peel for you, and Poison Star does just that, slowing the opposition, reducing the amount of damage they're about to deal to you. So just like Gem of Isolation is a self-heal for mid-mages, Poison Star is the same thing for the physical hunters.
Variety one more time on the invade. This time CaptainTwig and Xaliea are here, so Xaliea is able to get the blue buff that he so desired, but Variety, because of invading that blue buff for about 17 minutes now, has a 2-level lead.
So because of how aggressive Variety is on the right side, this is allowing QvoFred to look for the counter invade on the left here. I was about to say that Dignitas should look for such aggression with CaptainTwig rotating right lane to confirm Xalia's blue buff every single time.
And that's exactly what Dig did. Now, it took him a while, but that's exactly what Dig did.
I thought for a moment that they would even try to be aggressive in the duel lane, considering they have the sentry wards literally peppered right behind that gold fear, even having a regular ward right next to their purple buff, but instead just going to strip away a buff, reset. Neither team 19 minutes in almost going for a gold fury quite yet.
And so watching these guys come out here and Team Dignitas slowly amassing a lead, 1,400 for these guys, 18.5 and just 3 kills. Everybody avoiding the objectives, avoiding the team fights. What it comes down to is these teams just want to make it to the late game, get their farm online, and then let the hunters do the heavy lifting.
That's true. The levels and the abilities increasing in the rank is going to eventually outweigh some of these effective items. Last breath at max rank with Final Judgment. Doesn't really matter how much health or defense that you have if you're Xaliea. That target will fall.
Soul Gem here for Zyrhoes in the middle lane. An item that was ubiquitous just a couple of weeks ago. And now, not really purchased all that often. Ton of stats. CDR, power, there's so much on this item. And of course, the passive is going to be able to do just extra damage for the sake of doing extra damage.
And honestly, I think the way Zyrhoes is playing, it's more about the cooldown reduction than anything else. He could have went for the Spirit of Desolation if he wanted that 10%, but getting that extra huge burst to get someone in that execute threshold not only helps him, but helps QvoFred at the end of the day.
Gold Fury, Obey Alliance do have the vision on it now, but not going to go for the objective anyway. Zyrhoes in the middle lane now, looking for some of the nonsense. Not going to be able to find it either there, so still a little bit of a slower paced game here.
Yeah, Xaliea stealing away the back camps. Meanwhile, Variety stealing away the blue buff. Soul Laners, yeah, Soul Laners is doing Soul Lane things. Clear, proxy, clear, steal, boom, boom, bang.
Standard.
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 Yep. Like fish and chips for the gambler.
Nice one, Tolly. You ever have fish and chips?
No, actually.
No?
No. Not together.
I haven't had the, I have not had the benefit of going to the UK yet. I've had, like, you know, quote-unquote fish and chips here in America, but Graham would absolutely slaughter me if I called that real fish and chips.
Yeah, and that's why I actually don't want to order it if I'm not in the UK, because I wouldn't appreciate it, right?
I feel that. It's definitely, you know, representative of that location, so it's kind of odd to go elsewhere and look for it. That said, a lot of nachos anyway, right?
Yeah. Can't go wrong with some nachos.
Team Dignitas here. Getting a little bit of a stun on iRaffer. He's from the UK.
Yeah. So there's a couple other people in this game.
Actually.
Ataraxia.
Raffer, Raxia,
Twig.
and Twig are all from the UK. Prime, and I believe Xaliea as well from Sweden.
Isn't Variety from the UK?
Variety is from the UK. QvoFred and Trixtank from the Nordic countries. Zyrhoes from Sweden as well. Arkkyl, French.
Does he live there, though?
Not sure. I believe so. Gold Fury started by Obey Alliance.
Because I know Jermaine was... Oh, hold that thought, though.
Oh, very low. Here comes... Nope. Easy peasy. Team Dignitas try to get involved, but a little bit too late. Raffer going to suffer the consequences, getting stunned out by the middle lane mage. And the fight is going to be on the left-hand side. Trouble for Ataraxia. Surrounded and pounded. And Trixtank will make sure he's grounded. Down goes the Hunter. The kill going the way of the support player.
Oh, it's spread onto CaptainTwig as well. Beautiful pluck from Variety, keeping him in place just for the moment. Great follow-up. Obey Alliance, they took the risk to get that Gold Fury, but at what cost?
Yeah, the cost was about 2,000 gold there. Obey are able to successfully pick it up, but they lose the team fight. It looks like after the fact, it's going to be the Pyromancer.
Just look at that dip right back up.
No, the Fire Giant.
Ambition. Dignitas, they really want to go to land here. They're going to force this one out while Variety is zoning so far out. No one from Obey expected this one.
I think this is one of those, it definitely didn't feel, I did not know it was 22 minutes on the clock.
Definitely not.
How sleepy the game has been up until this point. But yeah, 22 minutes, go for that Fire Giant. Absolutely. Obey Alliance up like a powder keg here. And that one, still just 5 kills. Dignitas have 3 of them. And a Fire Giant. 4,000 gold in the lead. And definitely going to stretch it in the next 3 minutes and 26 seconds.
You know what happened there? Obey Alliance, they basically stirred up the hornet's nest of the entire game just by going for that initial Gold Fury. It forced a little, that was the spark that Dignitas ignited afterwards, exploding all the way to the right side of the map.
Yeah, you want to talk propane and propane accessories. Obey Alliance just blew this one open. Like a propane tank. Team Dignitas able to snatch it away from them and cook their own meal. Gold Fury going in their pockets. Tower as well, the right-hand side. Now I'd like to see them group up on the left. Look for the push up on the far lane. And it looks like that's the game plan. Arkkyl and Trixtank combining here. Looking for that tier 1.
Nothing sandy or grainy about Dignitas' performance here. They're stepping it up. Now getting the tier 1 tower in the dual lane. Trying to go for the tier 2 here. Obey respectfully. Not going to really contest it. There's going to be a lot of burst damage here. This might be a bait though. Right around the corner. QvoFred and Trixtank rotating back mid instead.
Obey Alliance making the wraparound. CaptainTwig with the flank. Gotta keep eyes on him. Pulling into the back line, misses the hands. CaptainTwig trying to get to Zyrhoes, but he's going to be ulted by the Circuit. Trouble for CaptainTwig, and Arkyl's going to claim him. He was at 50, and then he was at 0.
It's spread even to Xaliea here, but no follow-up in terms of bringing him back. We have the pluck here. Variety going to be looking for it in a moment. They need to wait for a couple of waves here. Dignitas still with Fire Giant for 2 more minutes. 5-on-4 advantage. They should be able to get this tier 2 tower. It could be a little tricky, though, going for a Phoenix considering the Strife.
Well, Zyrhoes is going to dash forward, misses the stun. Strife is on cooldown now. And the rest of Team Dignitas is going to go for it. Minions seeping in. There's a little bit of help. Variety trying to set things up. Crit, crit, crit. Arkkyl on top. That rage putting people in a cage. Trouble as the ROM shots come down. That can't crit, but it can still hit. Arkkyl with the doubloon takes care of the Phoenix, take care of the players, and it looks like Team Dignitas are poised to take care of the Titan. Arkkyl with another one. 3, 4, 5 kills for the French Hunter. That's going to be number 6. 2 separate double kills, a delayed penta. And Team Dignitas take this in 25.
Wow. In the last 5 minutes, Dignitas just blew everybody wide open here. Obey Alliance. They pulled a fast one, and they got heavily punished for it.
Nothing happened until 21 minutes?
Yeah, 20-21.
Interesting. MVP for that game. Does it go to Arkkyl for the final 5?
Honestly, you could definitely give it to Arkkyl just for that final siege, but I think Zyrhoes did a lot of damage during that Gold Fury scuffle.
Well, jury's out on who's the MVP, but we've got one more game to go. Before we get there, though, let's reflect on game number 2, and for that, it's Finch and it's Hindu.
I appreciate it one more time, and if you're confused the way that Graham is, know that you're not alone. It looked like that game was even until about, what, the 21-minute mark. Then it gets blown wide open. Dignitas evened it up, and that's what they needed.
20 minutes of nothing. And then 5 minutes and it's over. That's exactly what we saw. In the whole grand scheme of things, it was one little team fight around the Gold Fury. They became a Fire Giant after getting 2 kills.
Yep.
And then they pushed him at an end. GG, well played.
That's the analysis, really. I mean, technically, kind of, that's what happened, right?
No, that's
really. It was a very, very, very even game between these two. I think it was 2-1 before that Gold Fury fight actually ended up starting up. They take that Gold Fury, or not the Gold Fury, they take the fight there, grab the Fire Giant right away, and they're able to keep pushing from there.
I will say the one thing that probably came through and was the biggest difference there was probably that middle Phoenix on that siege at the end there.
Yeah.
What they ended up doing, they had the Fire Giant around their waist, and they go in to take a Phoenix while Twig is still dead. What ends up happening, though, is that Xaliea dies quickly because of the lucky crits from Arkkyl. I'm calling them lucky because he didn't have a full crit build at that point of the game because it was still too early. But those crits hitting Xaliea, taking him out, meant frontliners were dead. Carries were left exposed. Phoenix goes down. It's like, well, these guys can't stop a whole train coming through with the Fire Giant.
Well, sounds like Mixer Chat agrees with you. Arkkyl is going to be the MVP for Game 2, and
Sure.
I mean, he got, what, all those kills, all that damage on the last, like, 4 minutes of the
all
game?
All that damage. It's 6,000 in 25
Well, that's what I mean.
minutes.
All 6,000 of it came there at the end, and this is where, yes, he does go off and find the hits, but he got a lot of crits off that Rage in particular being built for him, and they're able to eventually shred the Titan. I mean, it must have all gone in a flash for Obey. They must still be wondering what happened.
Yeah, me and Todd were discussing earlier about, like, why we're seeing Rama back in the meta, and, you know, if crit's going to be available, auto attackers with a steroid, man, you're going to see him again. That's why the same reason you see the Artemis back, you know? Having a self-stim steroid, very, very strong.
Hey, if all you do is auto attack, well, Rom does it pretty darn well. So that's going to work out for them.
It's really disappointing. It's like the death segment's really short and sweet here because it was like, they did nothing, then 5 minutes of everything happened and the game was over.
That's it. I mean, that's basically what ended up happening in that game. But let's...